everyone and welcome back to another Python video. So in the previous video, we covered the two types of main loops in Python, which are the for and while loops. So in this episode, we're going to learn about functions. So first, we need to learn about what are functions. So functions are a specific block of code that you need to define, and you could call them as many times as you want. So this makes code easier and less complicated because you don't need to repeat similar code again and again, hence they are reoccurring. So you may have noticed that we've covered some built-in functions in Python in our previous episodes, such as print, input, len, and type. But these type of functions are custom and we have to make and define them and call them by ourselves. So to start off this episode, let's go through a very simple function. So first we have to type the keyword def or define, and then we have to type the function's name. So this can be called anything you want, and you have to leave two empty brackets after it, and again we put a colon, and then inside of it we can do whatever we want, just like an if statement or a for loop. And in this case I'm just printing a message, but we will do more complicated stuff with it later. And in order for it to work, we need to call this function by typing the function's name over here and two empty brackets. So again, we're going to try these examples out in the idle editor. So now that we've typed the code out, we can go ahead and run it. And it will print out, "Hello, how are you feeling today?" So using the same exact example from the last slide, we're going to do the same thing, do it with parameters this time. So over here I type the same thing, def greet, but inside these curved brackets, I type a parameter. So the parameter can be anything you like, and it's like a variable. So whenever we call the function, we have to mention the parameter inside of these curved brackets, which is arv, which is my name, and then that basically stores arv as a variable. So now let's try this out in the idle editor. So you might see that I'm using the same code as last time because all we have to do is change it a little bit. So inside of these brackets, we can type name, and then we can end our quotes off here and then do a comma, and then type name, and then do another comma, and then do this. So the comma after hello is just the comma that will be printed out in the message normally. So don't let that confuse you. And then when we call the function, we have to type its value. So it's arv. And then it has to be a string, and then we can go ahead and run it. And then it will say, "Hello, Arv, how are you feeling today?" So now what we can do instead is try this out, but with a different name. So you don't need to delete this and then change it to a different name. What I can do is call this function again, because you can call them as many times as you want. So we can just go ahead and copy and paste this. Didn't work just there. And then inside of these quotation marks, we can change it to maybe Rian. And then if we run it, it will basically just print the same thing twice, except it will print Rian now. So that is the convenience of functions. So you can call them as many times as you want without using too many lines of code again. So now I'm going to do a little mini project using functions and Turtle combined. So we're going to be making many spirals of different shapes. So you see over here, this will be the output and it clearly looks beautiful. So I'll explain this code step by step now. So we import Turtle, and then with it, we import something else, which is called the random module. So in this case, what we're going to do in the random module is make a list of colors, which we just did over here, and then we'll pick random colors out of them, and it will make a very cool spiral, like one of these. You can do t equals turtle.turtle. We can set the speed to 0, so it draws very fast, and then we can set the background color to black, which will make these colors really stand out and kind of glow. And again, we make a variable called colors here, and then I make a variable called sides and assign it to 4. But in this slide, we're not using a function over here, as you can see. We're using a for loop instead, but we could do the same thing with the function and call this many times, which I will explain in the next slide. So we do for I in range 300, and then I type t.pen color, which is the color of the pen again, and then I type random.choice, which will pick a random color out of this list of 9 colors, and then we put a variable colors inside extra brackets, and then I do t dot forward I. So what this will do basically is make it go forward I amount of steps, which I will basically just loop through all of the numbers from 0 to 300. So each time it goes forward, I will increase, and then the spiral will get bigger and bigger. And then I type t dot right, and then I type 360, which is the amount of degrees in a full turn divided by sides, which we store as a variable, and we can always change this. And then outside extra brackets, I type +1. So +1 basically means it won't make a straight turn. So if side is 4 in this case, it would be 360 divided by that, so that's 90, and then we add 1 onto it, so it will turn, but not make an exact straight turn of 90 degrees, so the whole spiral will start to rotate, and it will make this cool effect like this. But if I show you on the next slide, I basically just do the same thing, except I make it as a function, create spiral, and then I put the parameter sides inside of brackets. And then when we call the function, we put the number of sides. So if the sides are 4, it will basically just make this square spiral. But if the sides are 5, it will make this pentagonal spiral, which are basically just how many sides the shape has. So now you can try this example out in the idle editor. So instead of typing this whole thing out, what I can do is go back to my slides and then copy paste the whole code, since it's going to take ages and it will save us a lot of time. So now let's do Control V, and then there we go. It will basically just copy paste this whole thing out, and then I can just separate this code to make it easier to read. Also, some reason when we copy pasted it, the for loop did not get indented, so we have to indent it ourselves. And then I have to indent this code twice. So now that I've done separating the code, I can go ahead and run it. And then you will see it will draw this really cool square spiral. So it will rotate 91 degrees every time it runs. So we'll make this cool rotating figure. So now what we can do is close this, and then we can change the number of sides when we call it. And also we called it twice, so when it's finished doing one spiral, it will do the other spiral. But I'm just going to go ahead and speed this process up of trying many different spirals of different sizes. So this will make a hexagonal spiral. Then this will make a really long spiral of 15 sides, which is way too big for the screen. And if we do 2 sides and then run that, I'll basically just make this rotating line, but still looks pretty cool. Alright, so now that we've done and experimented with this project, we can go ahead and do the next exercise now. So the last task for today is basically another exercise of functions using parameters. So I make a function over here called string reverse, and then the parameter is string, which we will later assign to a string, and we will reverse that string. And then we can type the keyword return, so that returns a specific value, and then we type string. And then inside of square brackets, this may look weird, but we type 2 colons and then -1. So this will go character by character in the string from the last character index to the first character index, which will basically just reverse this whole string, including capital letters. So there is an alternative way to calling the function. Basically, store the parameter as a variable over here, and then I can make another variable called result, which will contain the called function, and then we could just print out result, which will just print out the reversed string. So now that we've done typing this short program out, we can now go ahead and run it. And then it will print out this very weird string, and I'll try to pronounce it. It's very weird because the whole string is in backwards order, but what we can do is go ahead and try out another string. So let's maybe try subscribe to Arab's Camp, and please do that, by the way. And also in this string, let's leave some spaces and some capital letters. So since Arabs has an apostrophe, we can go ahead and replace this with double quotes. And then we can go ahead and run this. will print out this weird thing, which is even weirder, and I can't pronounce this. So this is just a cool short program reversing strings just for fun, demonstrating more examples of Python parameters. So before I end this video, I'm just going to go through a quick summary of functions. So we have to use def as a keyword to define a function, and for example we can use def draw_circle, and then we also have to call the function using the function's name. For example, draw a circle, and you can call the function as many times as you want, and then you can add parameters inside of a function. And for example, I'm using draw_circle and radius and pi. So guys, sorry I haven't uploaded it for a while, just like I always say. But making these slides and videos is not that easy, since I have to make every single slide and exclamation just correct, which even one video takes weeks to make. So thank you all for your patience, and thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned something new from this video and had fun, and